Good morning to you all. Whenever we refer to history, do we necessarily refer to actions or events in the past?
No, not always.
True. History doesn't simply deal with those events that happened a long time ago. If you can understand the past, it may teach us something about our present.
Sure, what historians do is to interpret the past to be able to provide an explanation on present events.
Very well, Maiko. Thus, by understanding how and why things happened, we'll be able to understand better our present and to identify the source of origin of many of our problems. How do historians research into past events? What do you think about it?
By means of historical sources.
Yes, Jamie. They use historical sources or documents, which can be grouped into two types: material sources, either oral or written, and artistic or graphic.
Yes, besides, I've also read that the sources may be primary or secondary, according to when they've been produced.
Primary sources are close to the time under the historian study.
Yes, for example, an engraving found in some pharaoh's tomb becomes a primary historical source in the hands of a historian who's studying the ancient Egyptian civilization.
That's right. Secondary sources are those documents or recordings made by other historians on some particular topic, such as a book on ancient Egypt. Now, what other resources are available for historians?
For example, the timelines to display past events in chronological order.
How do they design the timelines? What's the starting point?
Well, it depends on the events and the calendar used by the historians.
If the timeline is designed taking the Christian era as a reference, the starting point will be Jesus Christ's birth. To the right of year 1, Jesus Christ's birth, the events will be told on a positive scale, while to the left on negative figures.
If the event took place before Jesus Christ's birth, we must use the acronym BC. However, if it happened after Jesus Christ's birth, we must write AD.
Historians have agreed on dividing the past into historical ages to be able to order it chronologically and study it easily.
I've heard about prehistory. Is it possible?
Yes, Nat. But that word to refer to that period is no longer used by historians. Some time ago, historians considered that history started with the origins of writing. Then, all those societies which didn't have writing systems weren't considered as part of history. Nowadays, all those civilizations which ignored writing are also included in history as they produced, instead, other methods of communication. In the 19th century, historians got together and decided to divide the past into ages. The only criterion applied to divide those ages were European past events. Thus, the past was fragmented into different ages: ancient history, Middle Ages, modern history, and contemporary history. This division has been carried out to ease the analysis of past events.
Historians work together with anthropologists, right, teacher?
That's it, Nat. In order to analyze the ancient history, for example, the life of the first human beings, historians usually group together in work teams and they work jointly with archaeologists and anthropologists.
Anthropologists work in different archaeological sites, digging for remains which may provide them with information to reconstruct the past. The found objects are recorded and analyzed by means of
the carbon-14 method, which allows to know the date of certain material remains. The content of radioactivity in the found remains is measured. This radioactivity is supposed to have decreased since the living being's death.
Thus, the history of many civilizations can be reconstructed even when they have left no written record.
My family and I have visited a beautiful place. You can't imagine it, Jamie. The Cave of the Hands in Argentina. We visited a series of caves with paintings of hands painted by men and women who, according to the tourist guide coming with us, lived during the Paleolithic age. Now I know much more about the lifestyle of the first human beings who lived millions of years ago.
It's great to imagine how the people who painted those caves lived.
The first human beings had to manage to deal with many problems in order to subsist.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe and answer the question. You can also click the links on the right to continue learning and click the like button. We appreciate your help. See ya!